Now, given that Deadpool and Wolverine raked in over $1.2 billion worldwide at the box office, you would think that Bob Iger, along with the Disney executives, would be very much willing to cave into any demands by Ryan Reynolds and Shawn Levy, as well as other creatives involved like Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, the writers of this movie, and their future involvement in Marvel Studios and upcoming MCU-related movies for Phase 6 and beyond. What's interesting about this, though, has more to do with what's been going on between both Ryan Reynolds and the Disney heads and the ongoing Marvel drama that doesn't seem to show any sign of a resolution. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So we all know that Ryan Reynolds is a negotiator, and a very good negotiator, by the way. Really got a lot of, his ways with Deadpool and Wolverine for standing his ground, for really dropping multiple ultimatums, and by the way, there are, of course, other ultimatums that are in play right now as a response to what Disney's been up to, essentially, against Ryan Reynolds and Shawn Levy, the director. Now, interestingly enough, we know that Disney is trying to double down on DEI. Alright, this is all coming in the wake of how they are in the midst of getting a new DEI supervisor / manager that's going to be paid, by the way, $200,000 a year. Yes, that's an actual thing. That will, of course, be doubling down on DEI for Marvel, Lucasfilm, for many of the upcoming Disney live-action remakes, the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot movies. I mean, I can go on and on. However, what's interesting about this further has a lot more to do with Ryan Reynolds and what he recently did against Disney and why. Now, with Bob Iger and the Disney executives already in a phase of panic over the aftermath of The Acolyte and what looms for both Agatha All Along and Snow White, one major development now has more to do with Ryan Reynolds and how he recently went against the Walt Disney Company after the ongoing Deadpool and Wolverine drama with Marvel Studios that never fully resolved and created a domino effect. It turns out that there have been ongoing discussions between Reynolds and the Disney heads over developing a Deadpool 4. However, recently what turned off Ryan Reynolds and one conversation piece that led to a complete outrage from both Ryan Reynolds and Shawn Levy is that Disney is now unwilling to greenlight the project unless there is a substantial bump in DEI elements that carries the Disney ideology in that film. As a response, Ryan Reynolds not only refused to take part in Deadpool 4 that was going to enhance Disney's agenda, but also Ryan decided to back out of 3 Marvel projects, 3, that were fully intended to focus on X-Men mutants mixed with the return of Deadpool as a character. Now, in the film, of course, in order to sell tickets, now, Ryan decided to back out of those projects, both as an actor and as a writer, and this ultimately led to a point where Disney had no choice but to cancel those plans entirely and start from scratch, since the Deadpool, of course, character was going to make Disney billions and billions of dollars altogether without question, that is now getting sliced in half. Now, Disney's focus is to bring in as much Deadpool as possible now. However, Bob Iger is not willing to budge unless Deadpool-oriented movies enhance DEI to some extent. Ryan is standing his ground and already backed out of multiple projects that were going to not just focus on X-Men characters, but also on projects that would bring both Deadpool and Spider-Man together on the big screen. Now, Ryan reportedly backed out of a major cameo for Spider-Man 4, starring Tom Holland, and Disney is begging for Ryan to come back with those conversations. Now, guys, let me just stop here. Now, we know that Spider-Man 4 is going to be a street-level film. They want to make it very much a bare-bones Spider-Man movie within New York City, and having some multiversal aspects in there. So that's what they want to do. They kind of want to go back to the roots, back to the basics of Spider-Man, but also having the multiverse elements in there that would pretty much give fans the gateway for Deadpool, and that was a conversation between the executives and Ryan that really just went into free fall and didn't end up happening. Now, this has a lot to do, by the way, with the fact that they want to double down on DEI. Not just at Marvel Studios, but for many other divisions as well. And yes, this also includes Pixar, regardless of the one exception of Inside Out 2. However, Ryan is now using all of this as leverage and is standing his ground with not just getting involved in Deadpool projects that was going to rake in Disney billions of dollars per project. Some of those projects actually were going to bring back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine yet again, and new tales inspired from comics that feature both characters. So that's the other thing, guys, is the fact that Disney knows that Deadpool is a major selling point right now, and they want to basically milk Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds is not all about that, number one, and number two, he's not about how Disney now wants to use the Deadpool brand as a way to kind of enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion just for the sake of doing so, instead of focusing on a proper story. So I think that what Ryan Reynolds is realizing right now is that this is nothing more than a bait and switch, not just to the customers, but also to the creators. And that's why he is taking a break. He is kind of putting his, foot in, the sand on one other end and saying, this is where we cross the line. I'm not moving. And basically, I am not going to engage in more Deadpool solo films that would actually involve more multiversal aspects to include other characters. And that really is beginning to put Bob Iger in a phase of panic, because now they don't really have the Deadpool selling point as much as they would have hoped for, because they're not willing to greenlight some projects like Deadpool 4, for example, that would actually bring in billions of dollars without a doubt. Now, we already know that Deadpool and Wolverine was not an outlier. That very much deserved $1.2 billion worldwide. Alright, it's not like it accidentally made that revenue. It deserved that revenue because it was a great movie as far as I saw things. Did it have a couple of little flaws here and there? I guess, sure. But it was a solid movie. I mean, it was a fun, entertaining film, and it was quite a breath of fresh air from all the nonsense that we've been getting at Marvel Studios. However, moving on from that, alright, already Bob Iger is creating an emergency meeting, not a big shocker, over the current state of Marvel Studios after they failed to make an agreement with Ryan Reynolds, as they are now long, of course, out on major deals that would have granted Disney billions of dollars for Marvel Studios specifically, and using that revenue to fund other massive projects that will be separate from the Marvel brand. Ryan is also deeply upset about how Disney, get this, is already using a large chunk of the revenue made from Deadpool and Wolverine toward DEI-driven films and or television programs for either Lucasfilm and upcoming Disney live-action remakes, as well as the Pirates reboot movies. And that is very much shady, if you ask me. That is very much low level by the Disney executives to turn their back on Ryan like that. I mean, is it to be expected? Sure. Should Ryan have seen this coming? Absolutely. I'm pretty sure that he did see this coming. It shouldn't be that too much of a shocker to him. But the fact that they're using funds or revenue to fund other DEI-driven projects for Marvel, for Lucasfilm, whatever have you, is very much scummy. It really is. I mean, that's just typical Disney. I mean, this is typical BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street as well, that funds the Disney nonsense related to DEI and ESG. It's not a real twist here. This is all to be expected. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.